founder and the co-founder and co-executive director of the nonprofit REVERB. We started this whole show during quarantine. We changed the name from Quarantine Kitchen to REVERB Kitchen. And we've just been enjoying having these incredible guests that are, some are professional chefs, some are not at all professional chefs, but they're always interesting people, mostly musician types, because that's the space that REVERB operates in. And we're trying to offer folks at home an easy way to learn about sustainable recipes that they can cook at home. And eat something delicious while also protecting the first adjective before. But for tonight, we have an awesome guest, LP Giobbi. I can't wait to talk to him more and learn more about what she's doing in general. There's so many awesome things that she's up to. She is a producer, a DJ, a pianist, an entrepreneur, an activist, and one of the fastest rising stars and stars in electronic music today. And she's also doing incredible work empowering women and gender-expansive individuals to discover equitable opportunities in music with the nonprofit Femme. She's going to cook us a delicious Tivoli tomato bread and impossible meatballs with spaghetti for tonight in the kitchen. So let's get right to it. LP, are you there?
Sure.
Yay. Wait, I can't see you. There you are. Yay.
Yay. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Me. This is so fun. I'm a fan of Guster, so this is actually pretty cool for me.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. And you're in Austin, Texas?
In Austin, Texas. Yep. Yeah. There's we're preparing for a freeze tonight, which the city is not prepared for, which we learned last year. So this meatball dish, bread dish, will hopefully carry me through the freeze.
There you go. Nice comfort food, nice and warm.
Yes. Fireplace food.
Yeah, I've been to a couple cities during unusual weather where people do not know how to drive when it's icy or snowing or even just slick. So
yes, I'm from Oregon, so to me it's like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, there's a power grid issue. And so they last year they had our power went off for 5 days. It was actually kind of scary. There was a moment of panic. So hopefully that won't happen this time, because they had to they were surging and they had to make sure the hospitals didn't go out. So they pulled other people's power. It was kind of crazy.
Hopefully you will not be in store for anything like that this time. So you are cooking Tivoli bread, and this is your grandfather's recipe, is that right?
Yes. My grandfather is Italian, and he came over from Italy and opened a restaurant in Chicago in the burbs called Tivoli, the Tivoli restaurant. And this was one of their most famous appetizers. I mean, this is just garlic bread with cheese and tomatoes. But we do it at all of our family gatherings. And this is my first time actually making it, because my dad's always the one who makes it. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, and you admitted before we went live, you're like, I'm not really a chef. Do you cook at home?
You were in the intro when you were like, some are professional chefs. I was like, wait, what? I'm the worst cook ever. So this will be fun.
Do you cook at home? Have you been finding yourself cooking more at home since COVID and all that, or is this going to be a first?
So I started touring again in March of last year. And this will be my second or third weekend home since then.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I haven't I try, and yeah, I've been home very, very few days. But when I am home, I try to cook it's pretty big, salad, I guess it's not cooked. I put together salads, and couscous and salmon are usually my go-tos. Yeah.
Nice. So you've been, wow, that's amazing. So you've been able to tour a lot even during this wacky time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a DJ, which I feel like the community is a little bit, and the club scene is a little bit different, than putting together a full live tour. But yeah, there have been pockets that as soon as I was vaccinated, was able to start going and playing some shows. And yeah, it's been kind of full nonstop really since. Yeah.
Amazing.
How about you guys? How's the pandemic been for you guys?
Musically, if you're talking about my band, it's been pretty sparse because we haven't been able to. We actually had to, unfortunately, postpone our January run of dates that we were supposed to do. So we've had some moments where we've had like, we had a peak moment. We were able to sneak in between Delta and Omicron. We were able to sneak in a Red Rock show, which is amazing. I hear you're playing your first Red Rock show too.
I am in April. I'm so excited. Yeah, I've only been there as a fan, so
it's so epic. I'm so happy for you. It was amazing for us, and I think that's the general consensus for everybody who's played there. It's just such a special venue.
My best friends just played there. They're in the band Sophie Tucker.
Yeah, and
the footage was just like. It was remarkable. I talked to them afterwards and they were floating on cloud 9. So it seems pretty special.
It's such what a cool venue and cool space. Yeah, that's very, very cool. So this is something that we've had one other DJ on the show. It's DJ Logic. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah. I'm of him. Yeah, for sure. Not personally, but.
Yeah, he's great. And I've actually done some dates with him and I know him a bit and I'm always so jealous with how light he can travel as a musician. I was like, your load-in's basically like taking your USB stick out of your pocket, right?
Well, what's so funny about that is, yes, and still my setup is way less intensive than, a band's for sure. But I could just like literally bring a USB stick and show up seconds before I have to play. And like, that's it, that should be as easy. But of course, I overcomplicate everything I do. So I've added a DJS 1000, which is essentially a sequencer and sampler. And I bring a keyboard with me and I route that through the sequencer and then into the mixer. So I play the piano and like do some like looping and things like that, which makes it more fun for me. It's totally worth it. But yeah, it's not as easy as just traveling with a USB stick.
Right. So when you are touring, is it planes? Is it cars? Like, what are you doing? Or little beach?
Trains, automobiles, my friend. It is whatever. I mean, the thing about a DJ is that they kind of just like ping pong you and like, because it's one person and it's normally just like a USB stick. It's, I did in December, it was like London to Barcelona to Los Angeles to Vail to New York all in 4 days, so it's mostly planes, sometimes trains, sometimes cars. Yeah, you can do like an earlier gig and then fly to a different city and play like a late night after party. So it's, I've been working on trying to find something that helps me with, time shifting. There's an app called, what is it called? Shapeshifter? No, not Shapeshifter, but it's like how to overcome or battle through, going through different time zones. And I haven't really figured it out yet, but especially if it's like, the gig's at 6 a.m, or it's literally it starts at 6 a.m. is when my set starts. And it's like readjusting your sleep schedule. It's really hard being a DJ.
It's a very different schedule. Like it makes the rock and roll touring seem very tame. Oh, we have doors at 9 and our sets at 10. We're done by I'm in bed by, midnight if I want to be.
I truly cannot hear that. That's so crazy to me. You're so lucky. Yeah. I love me a day party.
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, it's interesting just even from like a REVERB, like footprint perspective. I bet you DJ tours are similar to the actual full band tours because of the flights.
Yeah.
It would probably be just as intense for one person to fly and bounce around like you described as an entire entourage of touring rolling down in tour buses and trucks and stuff.
Totally. Yeah,
that's tricky.
Yeah, have you heard of an organization called Green Disco?
No,
I feel like it, and I mean, considering what you guys have built with REVERB, there's these young kids, fresh out of college, who just started it, but they're trying to help. They're kind of tuned in and tapped into the electronic scene, so it seems to be DJs right now, but helping DJs offset their carbon footprint in their touring and their flights and stuff, and how they do that, and it's pretty cool. Green Disco is their name. They're seem to be important work. Yeah, I've seen them.
We have done that a bit with Diplo. We did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we can do that, and we can do it with you. That's not hard. We can definitely.
So, like, what does that mean? What does that entail?
We have to look at we just need some information about like your flights, what you're doing, and obviously, ideally, we're trying to reduce the footprint in the first place and not just offset it. But there are things that can be done, and it's still when you can't reduce it any further, like a plane, like there's something you can directly do. it's a nice thing to do. And there's various projects that you can support that directly eliminate greenhouse gas. And
Cool.
you just look at that measurement, and we can talk about it.
I won't mind about that.
Let's get into the recipe. Let's get cooking.
Okay, so I got a refresher from my dad right before I got on. Oh my gosh, I'll try not to embarrass my family through this process. And I do have frozen bread. Okay, but it's still,
you brought shame to your family. It's too late.
Like, I feel like my grandfather is brave. Like, come on.
No, not true.
This is it was kind of like the pre-garlic bread, cut, pre-garlicky sauce. It's gonna be great, guys. And just recycle that and get a pan. I don't even have like a proper cooking sheet, but I have this really badass pan that I can like throw vegetables in and just throw them in the oven oftentimes.
Did you steal that from catering backstage somewhere?
I feel like, honestly, great question. Maybe it's possible. I actually used olive oil on my rider because I feel like that was an expensive thing I didn't want to buy at the grocery store myself. So I'd like pack it in my suitcase. And finally my boyfriend was like, can you please stop putting, I'll be like, 20 at this point. He's like, please stop putting olive oil on your rider. Okay, so I'd already preheat the oven to 400.
All right.
And I'm just going to put this in for a few minutes just to like warm it up. Am I doing this right? Yeah. I'm just going to put it in a few minutes to warm it up. Get it nice and mushy.
And for those who are following along, we do have the recipe. The link is in the public chat, right?
You know what? That's great. Maybe I should look at the recipe. Yeah, okay. I think we're in a good place. I'm going to start slicing up the tomatoes. I got some heirloom tomatoes.
Nice.
Some fresh basil. And then some fresh mozzarella, but let me do the tomatoes first. I've already washed these. Don't you worry. This is so funny. Look, I'm like on a cooking show.
Yeah, it's the best. And actually, the fact that there's a double angle right now, we have the aerial view, so we can see everything you're doing.
I'm going to shout out Xander, my TM, and my VJ, and my CTO, Chief Technical Officer. He is double cameraing it and crushing it, and also laughing at me in the background. So
it's very
the peanut gallery also.
A big part of this whole thing was I love the fish out of water thing, where it's like, I don't know how to cook. Why am I doing this cooking show? And that's exactly what I always look for when we do this, because it's like that's what people at home are feeling. So it's like, let's make this real for people.
Totally. And I told your team, I was like, this is gonna maybe go disastrous. They're like, that's great. I'm like, okay.
I had my bandmate on, Ryan, and he made a quesadilla, like some sort of a queso. That's what it was. And he used the wrong kind of cheese. And he's like, oh no, this looks awful. And he said it out loud as he's making it. He's like, this looks terrible. It ended up being like this gray looking, not at all, doesn't look like cheese.
Did you taste it? Did it taste good still?
Yeah, it tasted good. I have no idea. He said it did.
Okay, perfect.
Don't worry. The bar has been set low. Don't worry.
Oh goodness. And you said that was one of your own band members too.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm just cutting up the cheese a little bit and the tomatoes. This is the easiest thing ever. But you know what? I still had to ask for the recipe. So,
I mean, one of my favorite things about Italian recipes and food is that it's simple, pure, fresh ingredients, and you don't need to do all these crazy steps, and it's just like the freshest. My wife and I. My wife is the other co-founder and co-director of REVERB, Lauren Sullivan. We did our honeymoon in Italy, and it was just so simple. We were mostly around Tuscany and the Amalfi Coast. It was beautiful, just gorgeous. Can't wait to go back.
That is awesome.
But yeah, the simplicity of it all, and this is my chance to just seamlessly segue into plugging Oxfam's Eat for Good website, which is all about eating fresh and eating sustainably. You can go to oxfamamerica.org/eat-for-good for great tips on how to be more sustainably minded while you cook and eat and shop for food.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you vegan?
I am not vegan. So half my family is vegetarian, and the other half is mostly vegetarian because the other half is. So I used to call myself vegetarian, but I haven't really been strict. So I'm not. I'm a conscientious omnivore, as if that's not a mouthful, but it is. What it really means is I try to eat as sustainably as possible. I do enjoy meat here and there, so it's I wouldn't strictly say I'm vegetarian, but I would say mostly.
Nice. Okay, I'm tearing the bread apart, just FYI. It's kind of hot though, so just whew. Nice. I also eat meat, but I also like vegetarian options. I gravitate towards very vegetarian options naturally. So
yeah. Well, and I find, especially at home, it's so much easier. Like when we'll have chicken every once in a while, it's like, God, what do you do? Like, I'm always worried about salmonella and all that stuff. It's so nice to not have to like deal with any of that.
Yeah.
And actually, my son's become vegan. So it's actually, we have one vegetarian, one vegan, and then two kind of floaters. And I'm one of the floaters.
Nice.
With my son being vegan, and he's very conscientious about everything. So he'll just challenge on everything. And I'm like, I don't really have a good counter argument to his points because he's right. He's like, you have this, we have this dog. You love this dog. It's an animal. And that's no different than the animals that you are eating. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. So it's interesting.
Wait, how old is your son?
He's 11 and he's kicking my ass intellectually about this, especially this issue.
Wow. Did he get into it through you guys or how did that happen?
I think similar pathway that my wife got into vegetarianism is it just started grossing her out, the concept of eating dead stuff, dead animals. So I think that's what happened. And then of course, all the environmental benefits and everything else that came along with it. But I think for them, it was an easier process because they were just kind of grossed out. So it wasn't that tempting.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, good for your family. I remember being over in Italy and my family, like not understanding, my Italian family, not understanding the concept of, somebody who didn't eat meat. It was really funny trying to explain that.
Well, and here's another natural segue that I'll plug for Impossible because, we're making Impossible meatballs and we're talking about meat and like that struggle that I think a lot of people have. I'm one of them, of like what I value and what I love the taste of.
Yeah.
And, shout out to Impossible who's making this program possible. They're a sponsor of ours. But, they're making it so much easier. In fact, I prefer, it's amazing. I've actually A/B'd some stuff where I'm like, all right, we're going to try the Impossible meat and we're going to try like regular meat and like tacos. And I've actually like had a taste test. I'm like, you know what? I actually prefer the non-meat option Impossible. So it's like, okay, this is easy. They're making it easy, which is huge. And then environmentally, here's a stat that I say every show because it's just shocking. The world's food supply chain accounts for 26% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and about half of those are from livestock production. So we can knock out 13% of global greenhouse gas emissions if we didn't eat meat.
Whoa.
That's not nothing. So thanks Impossible for sponsoring Reverb's Kitchen and for offering awesome options for people like me who love meat but don't feel good about eating it always, especially environmentally.
And speaking of which, I'm going to bring out the meatballs. Ugh. So this is a bunch of Impossible meatballs.
Wow, it sure is.
I know we set these over and I was like, yes, for life. I'm just gonna, and this is super simple. So there's this, the 4 cheese sauce that you can get at, Whole Foods or, most markets have their own version, is kind of the closest to the Tivoli restaurant sauce. I have the recipe to make the actual sauce, but it's like for, a massive restaurant amount. Like it's like tons of pounds. And so I haven't figured out the math correctly to do a normal portion yet. So I just get this. And then I'm just going to put this in a pan and put the meatballs in it so it all kind of cooks and warms up together.
Nice.
Here's my scissors. Okay, scissors. So where in the world? Okay, you're in Portland, Maine.
Yeah, we're in Portland, Maine. I know you're preparing for the freeze. We are, I think we're expecting, we just got a bit of snow. We got about probably, they were thinking 20 inches, but I think it really ended up being closer to 8 to 10. And then we're getting about another 12, they're saying, starting tomorrow night.
No way. Are you going do any sledding? The kids are doing it.
Yeah, sledding. I mean, obviously, if you live in Maine, you have to kind of get into the winter sports if you weren't already. So yeah, we're doing all of it: sledding, skating, skiing, cross country.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to distract you. So when there's a time where you can do, kind of walk and chew gum at the same time, I want to hear about your Femme House organization and the tour that you've just announced.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, I put the cheesy bread in the oven for 10 minutes, so this could be a good time. So I just announced it on Monday. It goes on sale on Friday, which we're super excited about. But this is our first ever Femme House tour. So Femme House is my 501c3 nonprofit. Let me do this first really quickly. Oops.
Can you talk about like what inspired you to start it? And
yeah, so still only 2% of producers are women that have reached some level of top 100 is actually how they qualify this. So there's obviously way more female producer creatives out there, but that 2% statistic is alarming. And I came to that because I was I played synthesizers in bands, and I went to school for piano, and but I was reading an article about an artist named Grimes who produced her own records, and she talks about how she's the producer. And for me, it was like a crazy light bulb moment because I was constantly in the room with other producers who were all men and wonderful, awesome allies and great experiences. But it wasn't until I read that she produced her own records that I was like, wait, is that a role I could have? And I was raised by, deadhead hippie parents who were like, you could do anything and you could be anything, which is already a huge, jumpstart and privilege to have that support at such an early age. But I didn't even, because that sort of taught me like the importance of visual representation, because it's hard to be what you can't see. So I became like kind of obsessed with becoming that for another woman and like learning how to produce my own music, and spent the next few years trapped in a garage, teach myself Ableton. And I took my first Ableton course, and it was me and 250 dudes, which for me was inspiring. Right. But, I know that it was important to start a safe space at one point where, we could grow our own community. And so we offer free online workshops and free online courses in the technical aspects of making music through Femme House. And we have a radio show on Sirius XM where I interview other female producers. And they make mixes for the show. And so this year, we're super pumped to finally be able to go into the live space and do in-person workshops for the first time. So the tour goes through 15 cities in the US through the month of March and a little bit of April. And there'll be in-person workshops before each show, and then all female lineups or gender expansive lineups at night in the club. So it's we're really excited. And just like I was saying earlier, my tendency to overcomplicate things instead of just like going on a tour, we're like, also let's do workshops beforehand. So it's been really fun to put it together though, and the community is amazing. We partner with Ableton, and Ableton is providing, so there's 6 female certified Ableton trainers, period. And we are using all of them. And they are all amazing and interesting and, doing cool things for their community and making cool music. And I'm just so excited to be working with them on the workshops. And yes, that's kind of the gist of it.
It's going to be amazing. So you're going to have you're going to have significantly long days. You're going to be at the workshops and do all that and then perform that night? Or
yes, late night club nights, and then getting on 6 a.m. flights to get to the next workshop in time and setting that up. And I'm W Hotel's North American music director as well. And so luckily they have offered their spaces, their conference rooms for the workshops. So at least I'll be able to, check in the hotel and then go to the workshop. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Wait, which hotel is doing that?
W Hotels.
Oh, awesome. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
So cool. That's what an amazing thing. Like you saw the need and decided to do something about it in a big, big way. So kudos to you.
And the community is just budding. It's been we partnered with Alicia Keys' nonprofit last year to launch a more in-depth boot camp sort of, and that really expanded our community. Women from all over the world. We had 3,000 signups in a day. Ableton gave a license to everybody who signed up. People from Brazil and Australia and Mexico, and it just was. I was like watching the chat, where everybody was saying where they're tuning in from and just sobbing. It was a really cool moment. That's what made me. Yeah, it was cool.
And wait, so there is also, so Femme House is going to be part of REVERB Eco Village at some of these tours we're doing.
Yes, this is so cool. Yes, I can't believe we're so lucky to be connected to you guys. And we are doing some tabling at a few of the Billie Eilish shows, I think 4 of them, and then some of the Tame Impala shows, which are 2 remarkable artists. We were just giddy when we got that invite. So yeah, we'll be at the New York and LA and SF Billie Eilish shows.
Awesome. That's great. And
Yeah.
Billy's tour starts tomorrow. We actually have a bunch of folks out in pre-production right now.
I mean, so how cool that I mean, I met with some people from your organization, and just learning how y'all started it and how it's grown into what it's grown into was so inspiring as somebody who has a baby nonprofit myself. It's just so cool to see your journey. How long have you been doing this?
So we started REVERB in 2004. So whatever that. Yeah.
That's real. I mean, I know how hard it is to keep a nonprofit going. That is impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I think you'll see is the same. I can't imagine it going any other direction for you. When you create something that is so needed, it works, and people get behind it and want your help and want to support the great work you're doing. So I think you're on the same path for sure.
Yeah, it's been crazy to see Insomniac, who is the largest electronic promoter in the US, maybe the world, reached out to do a Femme House compilation on their record label, and an art card takeover at EDC, which is the biggest electronic festival in the US. And the Spotify just put me as their equal artist of the month. And it's just really cool to see these gatekeepers who have a lot of power and are in positions of power wanting to support the cause and, working hard to make a difference. And it's just that's been the most, I guess, I mean, I'm a pretty positive person, but it still has been mind blowing to see how many people have, reached out to support and help the cause. And it's just been really inspiring.
No doubt. And timing, obviously this was needed. It's always been needed what you're doing, but your timing for this, as far as people's understanding of that need, is really.
People are ready for a fun. Totally. Yes. I feel that, that's been so, it's interesting to see the lineups. I on a lot of the festivals I'm on, the electronic festivals, still are kind of shockingly, not quite there yet, but I do see a lot of the organizations trying to, change that. I think the hard part is, it's how do you get on a festival if you're not getting on festivals? It's this weird chicken or egg thing. First, a lot of promoters will see who else is being booked and kind of be booking the same people. And it's hard to start selling tickets and making a fan base if you can't get on the lineup to begin with. So it's, we're trying to do some stage takeovers here and there where we can, and offer opportunities for people who maybe wouldn't have them otherwise. That's kind of our next goal.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, God, there should be a Femme House stage at these festivals, where it's just.
We're working on that. That is a great idea.
That's great. Very exciting. All right. So where are we at this recipe? Where are we at now? We got some sauce going.
Let me just check on this. I'm really glad that you just said that. Oh, you know what? This is looking good. Hold on. Unlike your bandmate, I think this is looking great. Although I kind of think that you can't really mess up on. Okay, so now, it looks good. The cheese is melting. It's looking good.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on broil. I've literally never even used this setting on my oven, but my dad told me it existed. So I'm going to do broil to try and just brown the top a little bit. So do I just go on? Yeah, it's on. That's it. It's one button. In case anybody's wondering, broil is one button.
So in a world where there aren't, like you're saying, if you can't see it, it's hard to be it, which I love that. That's a great quote. How did you become it? If you
great question. Well, it was that light bulb moment I had when I was reading the article about, so I don't know if you know the artist Grimes.
Yeah.
Okay. She she's quite famous now. But she had just released one of her maybe second album, and was just really active in talking about how. Oh, do I hit on?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Broiling's a high stakes game. I will say that.
Not that simple. I think we got it though.
But it's high stakes. We have to pay attention because broiling is you're literally playing with fire.
I was toiling in a few minutes. So essentially here, just sort of discovering that she was the person who was also producing and engineering her own songs, just I don't know, I know this is going to sound so silly because it wasn't really a conscious choice, but just subconsciously, like I was in a different role in music creation, in the synth role and in a band setting. And I was interacting with producers all the time, but I just subconsciously never thought that could be something for me, I think, just because of a lack of visual representation. So reading about her and every hair in my body stood up and I was like, I want to do this. And this person, I see myself in this person, maybe I can do this too. And and then I just kind of became dead set on wanting to be what she was to me for somebody else. And honestly, that's that, thank goodness that's the approach. That's what kept me going, because the learning curve was sharp for me. I mean, it was rough for me.
That's what I want to get into. So how did, it's one thing to be I want to do that. And then you get to where you are. I started in Pro Tools because that's what we were using in the studios I was recording in. So I saw that, up on the screen, and I was working with bands, and, there's Pro Tools is sort of more focused on the live audio recording and bands. But then when I started making electronic music, all the people I was working with or fans of, or, all their tutorials were in Ableton. So I then got a new DAW, and although everything is kind of translatable, it does take a minute to try to figure out where the automation lanes are in the different program. And so, just Googling and then taking this course in San Francisco when I was there, and doing a lot of people's tutorials, and honestly, just playing around, getting comfortable touching all the knobs, and being comfortable breaking things. And the very first time I tried to put Ableton on my computer, it took me hours. I was like, I can't even download this. What am I doing? So that's the tech side, which obviously, you have to learn how to do all that stuff. But then there's the creative brain side of this, or soul side of this, where, okay, you're going from playing piano to making electronic music and creating things. So was that a major shift in?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll tell you what. It has taken me, this is the first year I started releasing music I truly love. Last year and this year. What year are we in? Okay, actually 2020 was the first time I released a song I loved. And I had been making music or creating music or releasing music for 5 years before that.
What's the song?
But the first one is Meet Again. It's the first time I really, also it was the first time when I first started making electronic music, I was like, okay, jazz background, you're dead to me. Everything's going to be about sort of bangers and electronic music. And Meet Again was me finally making seventh chords, going back to some jazz chords and making things a little bit more interesting in the piano instead of just completely simple. It was kind of finally me combining the worlds, but I think I had to swing the pendulum a little bit too far in the electronic world to really, get into that and dive in and listen and work on the kick instead of the melodic notes, and work on the production side of things. And then finally, when I got comfortable with that, I was able to sort of bring everything back together. But I think I say that to say, if you're starting to make music or creating in any way, it's okay if what's in your head isn't coming out right away. It could take years, and that's okay. Keep going. I think sometimes I felt why am I not hearing what I want to hear? Or why is it not coming out how I want it to sound? And it's just part of the process. And keep going. And that took me a long time to trust the process, really.
Yeah. I imagine there's something that I feel happens a lot in the studio for us, but probably happens a lot more for people who are making electronic music, is those happy accidents. And I think there's probably a lot more room for accidents to happen.
I would say most parts of my songs were complete accidents, because it's I sort of start in loops. So start with just here's a 16 bar loop that I'm going to take things in and out of and mute and unmute and see what's how to get the groove going, and then loop a synth and tweaking with it. And it's just something eventually just clicks. I don't even know exactly how we got there. And then I just record that, So for sure, it's all, the whole process is a happy accident, which is, there's, I guess, less pressure than it's you have to write the song and you go into the studio and you record it, and you're paying for the studio time. And I'm just on my laptop, on an airplane most of the time.
Right. On your way to the next gig.
Which is crazy. I'm making music in the sky. What? Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Not something that Fleetwood Mac had access to in their heyday.
That is the truth. But I know that we're both, Deadheads were inspired by the Dead. And I recently watched, I'm kind of embarrassed it took me so long to watch this, but I just watched Long Strange Trip, the documentary on Amazon. Okay. And that has really, they just didn't listen to any of the rules. They broke all of them, and I've been, ever since watching that, I've been really inspired to try to interact with my music more in like a one-woman jam band kind of way versus like a DJ. Like they're just like looping things like live, just like being more fearless. Like some of their shows were bad, and that was okay because it wasn't the same as what they cared about. And I've just been, I don't know, I've been really inspired by that.
The fearlessness and reckless abandonment is such huge. Like if anyone who appreciates music, and you don't even have to like the results of what the Dead did if you don't, but nobody can deny that there is just total freedom and of expression and whatever they wanted to do, and they weren't afraid to walk the high wire and fall
in front of so many people, and like nothing is. I mean, they practice, and like Jerry was crazy about doing his scales, and like that. There was obviously work that went into this, but not knowing exactly what you're going to play, not even knowing the order of what you're going to play, like, and just being okay with like saying yes and just like falling into the abyss in front of that many people is just so crazy and awesome and inspiring. And it's like what they cared about was growth versus perfection.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, as a type A person, I'm like, wow, I really want to get there. That's so inspiring to me.
Well, and again, that's it seems like the medium that you've chosen is perfect for that, because you can go flying all over the place, do whatever you want, but you can always reel it back in at the end.
Totally, yes. And with like computers, and you can really like go anywhere. I know I always like wonder, like, what if the Grateful Dead like had started making electronic music? I bet you they would have been really into like modular synthesis and weird things like that. Maybe it would have gone too tweaky, but I would have loved to see that iteration of them.
Who would you say is an artist that may have picked up that, like, what in the electronic world? Like, is there a?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, they're still considered this is still very much DJ Tennis is an electronic producer who his productions are like pretty straightforward, awesome electronic music, but how he DJs is very psychedelic to me. He's like, he's just like, it's very much, a feeling thing. It's a looping thing. It's like a not worried about making mistakes and trying new weird sounds that maybe don't work. But yeah,
Wait, I interrupt you because holy crap, we're broiling. Is it burning?
Oh, I took it out.
Oh, good.
It just like goes on fire behind me.
That's what I was worried about.
Great content. Yeah,
I was like, oh my God, we're going down this wormhole of awesomeness talking about music, but I also remembered that there's something cooking.
I got it. This is essentially, yay! So it's a little piece of bread with a tomato and some, I think we're changing our camera angles. Yes.
There it is. All right.
Tomato and mozzarella, and this is it. And then, hold on, this is the best part. So for me, sauce is everything. I will always ask for more sauce. In fact, like I'll ask for like cup loads of extra sauce for when I get pizza. So really, this is all about, here's the sauce and the meatballs. Boom, there's a meal.
Done and done.
But have you heard the band Goose?
I've heard of them, but I don't know their stuff at all.
Oh, you need to check them because they're a jam band, for like 100% jam band. But there's the keyboardist has some more like synths and like electronic stuff, and I feel like they might be the band that does it, that really combines these worlds. And I hope that, because I love them.
That's cool. I'll check it out. Yeah, that's wild. So wait, this is it? We're done.
Dude, this is it.
No, it's great. This is awesome.
This is the appetizer that I will bring to Christmas parties. It's just this, on the plate.
Beautiful. All right. So the only reason why I asked is because the only thing that we do consistently show to show is what you're about to do right now is the vicarious bite. So you need to.
My mouth is like actually watering right now. This is crazy.
Mine too. So you get to eat.
I feel so sad you can't try this with me, but it's an amazing product.
Awesome.
But it's actually really good. This fried too. You can, get in there, Ginger.
So good. Xander, you don't have to hide behind the camera. Get in there.
I know. This it's like, trust me, I'll wait.
He's like, wait, this is torture for me right now. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing the show. This is so
Thank you
great.
for having me. This is so interesting. Like you guys have built this. Honestly, I got off the first call with your team and I called the rest of the Femme House team and I was like, this is our inspiration for the nonprofit. Like how you guys talked about each other and like the community that you work with and the mission that you have going on. And it just was really, really, honestly, you are a blueprint for Femme House. So thank you for existing.
Wow. Wild. Thank you. That's a huge thing.
Yeah. Please tell your wife that too, because like, thank you both for doing what you do.
For sure. I will. And thank you for everything you're doing. I can't wait to learn more about Femme House. That's so cool. We should definitely keep in touch. There's a bunch of ideas and things I want to tell you about.
I would love that.
Because like there's like immediately when you're talking about the workshop stuff, it's like, oh God, we did something called the Campus Consciousness Tour. That could be a really cool thing for Femme House to kind of emulate.
Yeah. Please send me anything. I would love to learn more about what you've done. And yeah, thank you.
So cool. And I can't wait to check out the tour and check out all your music. Meet Again is the song that you said is the first one you've really, really enjoyed. Obviously, there's going to be
5 years making music. It's the first one I've liked. So you
I'm sure that's not how your fans feel. I'm sure they loved all of it, but that's interesting. That's an interesting thing to say. So I'm gonna check that one out in particular. Everyone, I encourage you all to check out your music, and oh my goodness, check out Femme House, and it's so wonderful. I want you to stay on so we can chat more. But I do want to say thank you to Impossible again, Oxfam, Relics, Guster, Defend Our Future for partnering with the show, and again. Thank you so much, LP Giobbi. It's just awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are
and
awesome.
Please, everyone who's watching, check out her music, check out her tour. If you're, interested in making this music, check out Femme House too, or check it out even if you're not a woman. You want to support this awesome work.
And it's not just safe space for women, but everybody's welcome. It's
awesome.
It's an education platform for everybody.
That's wonderful. So good. Thank you so much. This is great. Please stay on. Don't hang up, but we're going to say goodbye to everyone who's watching right now. Thanks, everyone, and stay tuned for another episode of REVERB's Kitchen.